Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bigfoot Cooking, where today we are making bread from not just flour, but from wheat berries. That's right. We are going to grind the wheat berries to make the flour to make a loaf of bread. We getting all kinds of fancy here. Now, I was on vacation the other week and we were up in Ohio and went through Amish country, and Lehman's up there has like everything old school. And while I was there, I picked up a grain mill, brand new in the box, and we are going to do an unboxing on this guy and try it out. Hence why we're grinding flour to make some bread today. But what I thought I'd do, I'd show you guys this. This is going to be most of the show today is about this. But I decided to break out my smaller one and my KitchenAid one. So that way we can really do a comparison of the difference in as far as like grind quality, grind time, things like that. Like I said, these will be minors. Most of the show today is going to be on this. And then of course, once we grind everything up, we got to make a loaf of bread. So let's get started on the unboxing, because again, that's where most of this show is going to be. So let me get to some opening. Now they actually have up there at Lehman's a huge selection of grain mills. This was just the one I chose for two reasons. One, at the time of recording, you know how that goes. At the time of recording, this one was about $300 up there. They've got them a little cheaper and they've got them a lot more expensive. Their top of the line one is almost $1,000. If you're doing a lot of grain grinding, totally worth it. But me, I bought a 50-pound bag of grain a little while back and I've slowly been going through it. I haven't been going crazy. I might change now that I got this guy because I'm hoping this is going to be a lot easier to use than my other two. But we're about to find out. But while I was walking through the store, this particular one here was actually in the damaged section. Yes, they have a discount section. Totally worth going to the store. All it was the box was damaged. I'm like, I'll take it. Knock a couple of bucks off. It's a win-win for me. But while I was there, of course, they have all the little things like this guy here is for leveling the top of cakes. I picked up this, which when you're canning, all of your lids fit right down in here so that when you're water bathing, you can put all the lids down, pull it back up. It keeps it organized. And of course, if you're making creamed corn or just not shucking, but if you're cleaning all the corn off of it before you just make corn on the cob, another little handy device. So what we're really here for, unboxing, because I so want to try this out. And believe me, as tempting as it was to open this, I did wait until I got all the cameras set up to record all this. So let's see what's inside of this guy, because that's why we're here, right? So to start out, most of this thing is already pre-assembled. So that way you don't have to do every nut and bolt, but there are some big components in here. We've got cardboard, more cardboard, which is nice. It keeps it from being damaged in shipping. We have, let's see, bags, which we'll peek into. Yep, and destructions, or some say directions, some say corrections. I'm a guy, they're corrections. Now, for the main event, the great, big, heavy grain mill. And a box. Now, when I say heavy, I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you what, let's find out how much it weighs. All right, with the base and everything that's on here, not counting the other things, we're about 30 pounds, 9 ounces. 9.7 if you're picky. So about 30 pounds of steel and wood right here. Now, all that weight will come in handy as we're starting to grind this stuff, because it keeps this thing from moving when we're doing all our stuff and everything. So let's start with the basic installations of what we got going on here. First thing, the base is set up for shipping. Reason being, when you put the handle on it, if you turn it, you're going to hit the base. So you've already got extra holes here and everything. All right, so that's the main event. Oh, let's see what's inside all of our baggies here. Handle, which is nice. Okay, got an extra keyway, nuts, bolts, and wrenches. Starting to think I'm working on a car here. All right, and there we go. Handles, brooms, and I guess you'd call this a pusher stick. All right, so let's get this guy put together. Now in the directions, the first thing it says is to install the flywheel. Well, flywheel's already on it, so I don't know if that was from the open box or if it ships a little different if the box is not open. So step one is done. All right, next we're gonna put the crank handle on it. And that's pretty simple in itself. That's what this guy is right here. We just set this through here so that way you've actually got something to grab onto. And then we'll take the nut off of this guy. We'll wind this on here. Okay, now as you're tightening this, make sure you can still turn the handle, because if you lock it down, it makes it a lot harder to crank this thing. Not to say that I just may or may not have done that myself right now. There we go. Handle spins nice and free. All right, the bolt comes out of the center, and this guy will just bolt right back in where it was. Already got your washer and everything here. And then the bolt that we took the nut off for the handle, well, that guy goes right here. And although I'm not sure why, there is a little bit of back and forth right here. So you can get another inch of leverage, or if for some reason you need to clear, I guess you can go in a little bit. Now, as you see, it won't clear the base. We've got to move it. We'll get to that in just a second. You know, it is really cool that they give you all the wrenches that you need. Now, I don't know if they're durable enough to start working on cars on the weekend, but they're definitely strong enough for this. I'm gonna flip this guy on his head to do the rest of this stuff. Well, you know, I could flip it on its head and it would be easier to do, but for the camera's sake, well, let me lay it on its side, or just flip it all the way over. All right, we've got ourselves a couple of bolts here that are holding it to the base. We'll take these guys off. Now, as you see in the bottom of this, you have extra holes. These 4 holes right here are gonna line up with the 4 on the bottom of the mill. So I'm just gonna shove these guys down in here. Again, this is normally easier if you do it upside down, but I can't quite get the camera angles upside down. We'll set this guy here. And then the washer and the nut goes right on top of all of them. All right, it is now properly secured to the base. Now, you don't have to use the base that came with it. I mean, if you've got like a big piece of board or a cutting board or a work table or something, you want to bolt it down to that, hey, wherever you're going to use this the most, it makes the most sense to set it. And also, if you notice, the flywheel here has a groove in it. This is designed for a belt to go in. So this thing is actually made to where you can motorize it and you don't even have to hand crank it. This is just, you know, if zombies come or the world ends or whatever, or you have no electricity, you can still have your bread. Now, because this is a brand new machine, what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna run popcorn through it. Yeah, popcorn is actually where you can get grits and cornmeal, but I'm gonna run a cup of that through it so that way anything left behind, say with the machining of it, any little metal burr or just any little inconceivable something, I can go ahead and get rid of it, and that way when I start grinding flour, it's not in the way. So for that, we have the cup of popcorn. Now to adjust this guy, this knob in the front is what does it. And the tighter you turn it, the finer the grain. Now I turned it all the way down until the handle here is hard to turn. Don't need to go that tight right off the bat. So from there, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna loosen this up several turns because I just wanna take this popcorn and I wanna do a rough grind and then a fine grind. So let's add the love. Yep, that's 1 cup of popcorn. Let me go get a clamp for this thing. That way I can hold it down real good. Be right back. All right, let's try again. I had to move to the end of it so I could put some clamps here. It does take a fair amount of energy to move it, so it's gonna wiggle around some. This is why the bigger the base, the better. Or again, if I was absolutely old school living off grid, if I was more Amish than the Amish, I'd just bolt this sucker right to this table and be done with it. So now, back to where we were. Also went ahead and put a little bit of a bigger catch pan here because it is kind of throwing it wide. So let's go ahead and do our first grind.
Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you.
All right, grind number 1 done. Now, in case you were wondering what the little stick 4 is up here, That's if for some reason you get bound up, you can use this to push down in here to clear out, you know, whatever is binding you. The reason being is you don't want to use this guy to reach down in here and try to figure out what's going on, because, well, you were born with these, you might as well hang on to them, not put them through a grinder. So here is our first run. Like you see, very, very coarse, still a whole lot that needs to be done. But if you go from popcorn size, which is what it was, straight to flour, it is a lot of work. It is better to do it in steps. And now, reload. Let's see what our second crank gets. I ain't gonna lie, to tell you this is easy, it's not. It's a little bit of a workout. Totally understand the belt-driven V-groove in this pulley, because if you were trying to sneak in the kitchen and make breakfast for the family and do it quietly, not gonna happen. Whew, this is a good workout. Now, we actually look like cornmeal or masa or any of the other corn derivatives. But one thing, if you feel it, it's just a little bit warm. And that's because the action of actually grinding it makes heat. Surprise, surprise. This is why if you motorize this, you have to keep it at a low RPM, because if you go too fast, you can actually burn what you're grinding, and that's not gonna taste very good. Let's see what 1 cup of popcorn turns into when you turn it into cornmeal. It turns into 1 cup of cornmeal. Oh well, nothing added, nothing lost. Now there is still some in the machine, there's some on the table, there's some everywhere. Yes, this is a little bit messy. This is the price you pay to save the planet by grinding your own grains. What we're gonna do now, I'm gonna actually take a break, get a drink of water, and we are gonna take this machine apart and clean it out, so that way you see how this comes apart and what you need to do to maintain it. So, I'll be right back. All right, so let's begin the disassembly on this now that we've got everything situated. Like I say, I hope you saw how handy this little guy is as far as getting the stuff moving down here. Now from here, if you wanted to, like I say, for normal maintenance, you shouldn't have to take these bolts out right here to pull the top off. 10 millimeter, any of you mechanics know, the all famous 10 millimeter. Most of the bolts on here, they're either, and they're nicely marked on the wrench. There's a 10, a 14, a 17, and a 19. That's all you need to disassemble this guy. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna pull the shield off of this right here, so that way we can get a look at the actual grinding. I guess they're grinding burrs. They're not grinding stones because they're not made of stone. And for that, 10 millimeter, we're gonna have right here. You're just gonna take this guy loose. All right, and there's your cover. You know, the one good thing about this, it is all metal. There is no plastic on this thing, at least none that I've seen. So we got our dust shield off, and without this, when you were grinding all of this, it would just, it comes out all the way around and it just hits this and rolls down. We've got this. Now we're gonna take this. You know, I really wish I knew the name of the parts other than the thingamadoo and the whatchamajiggy. But we're gonna take the nut loose. We're gonna take it all the way off, which by the way, it's actually a little warm. Gee, I wonder why. All right, and as you see, you have these little balls right here that coincide with this. The grinding burr itself, that's what helped hold it together. We have a small washer here to take out. And then the stone itself. And as you can see, there's a nice pretty little starburst on here. It's designed to grab the big stuff, the medium stuff, and then when you get to the edge, the fine stuff. There's a keyway right here. Let's see, we'll pull this guy up, and then you can pull the spring out. All right, we can take our brush and go through and clean off the face, get all the remnants, I guess you'd say, off of it. All right, and as you can see, there was quite a bit of leftover just sitting in here. If you're just grinding grain, the same thing all the time, or if you don't mind a little mix up in it, not a big deal. But I just thought I'd show you what this thing is leaving behind, so that the next time you feed it something, if it's not the same, you may get, your pancakes may taste a little bit like corn. Well, is it gonna hurt it? No. But is it the flavor you were going for? Also no. And like I say, you can go crazy and you can pull the hopper off, but in all honesty, all that does is take the hopper off. I mean, it's still, there's nothing really to clean right there, but that's it. Now that we've done that, what I can do, the keyway that goes back in here has a flat side and it also has a rounded side. The rounded side will go away from the device. The spring right here actually sits against this flat spot. So we'll set this in here, and that's also what lines up right here with the burrs. Get that guy back in there. And again, make sure your little wear, thrust washer, whatever you have, make sure this guy sits right in here, and screw your nut back on. Let's go ahead and get our cover put back on here. Again, if you don't use the cover, it's not the end of the world, but this will grind everywhere. Now, if you were going to take this off every single time and clean it after you use it, I would recommend going to the hardware store, taking these little guys with you and saying, hey, can I get a wing nut? And that way you don't need the wrench. It's just a little flat. And that way you don't need tools to even take it apart. You can just take the wing nut loose, take this loose, clean it out, put it back together, make life a little simpler. Just don't get longer than this bolt. If you do, take this with you, because if you get too long, it's going to push into the outer burr and then you're going to damage it. Yeah, you don't want to mess up your new toy. All right, so let me get all three of these grain mills set back up again, and this time we're going to do the comparison on how they grind and how some are easier to use than others. All right, just give me a second. All right, so to begin the grind off, we're going to start out the easiest way possible with the KitchenAid. Now, to do this, all three of these are going to have 1 cup of wheat berries to grind. And that's all this is. This is hard winter wheat. And this is, I bought I want to say 25 or 30 pound bag a couple of years ago and vacuum sealed them inside of this. Supposedly, according to the world of preppers, this will last 25 years, just like this, ready to go. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I do know we're fixing to use it today. So let me lose the vacuum. All right. Still held, I guess that's important. And we are going to, in these 3 bowls, each of them will have 1 cup of wheat berries. Trying to keep this competition as fair as I can. And we are going to start out with the KitchenAid, mainly because I'm tired. Now the KitchenAid is easy. To use it, there's a dial on the front here that you turn, and that sets it from loosest to finest, and you just turn the machine on. That's it. Now, you want to run this thing wide open. You don't want it to grind slowly in this case. And I believe there is a limit as to how much you can do in a single batch, because again, the burrs will heat up. So we're going to start out on the loosest to feed this through, just to kind of pre-crack it. And let's see what a level, if there's 10 levels, which I think there is, let's see what a level 1 looks like. So yeehaw. So the loosest one really didn't do very much to it. It's still very whole. It probably broke maybe half to 2/3 of them in half. So not a vast improvement under that. So we're going to pour this back in here. With this one, you adjust the dial with it running. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to turn it to halfway, and we're going to grind it again. So buckle up, Buttercup. Time for another fast ride. All right, so at 50%, we've got some grindage going on here, but we are far from flour, which again, didn't expect it to be. We're just kind of showing off what this does. Now, if you're trying to just like crack grain, break it down some for, I don't know, making granola bars or something, this might be perfect. You know, cream of wheat, but we want flour. So we are all about some flour power here today. So now we are going to put it on its finest cut to where it does as good as possible. And I'm actually, because I've used this several times, I'm actually going to grind it and then run it through again. And then we'll check and see how floury it actually turns this. All right, so buckle up for round 3. All right, and there we have KitchenAid flour. Again, it is flour, absolutely. All right, and we'll set it right here for now. Now, once we grind all 3 of these, I'm going to go through and take this very fine screen, and we're going to actually see how much of it is flour and how much of it didn't fully get ground up. That's how we're really going to test the grindability of all three of these. Now, it's time for my middle child. That's right. Here we go. This guy, I don't know how old this is. I got it from Goodwill many, many years ago. And actually I use this, you can grind flour. I have done it several times, but like cinnamon, I'll get cinnamon sticks and grind them through, and just different herbs, stuff like that. I mean, it works great for stuff like that. But whereas you saw I put the big bowl under the KitchenAid one, this guy is so low that I have to put like either a plate or a bowl or something small here because it's not very high up. And of course, it also has a smaller hopper than this one, or especially that one. But we're gonna get to it, and we're gonna do the same thing. I've got this one set kind of loose. So first we're gonna run through and we're gonna crack, per se, all the wheat berries. Let's see if I can get them in here. Will they fit? I don't even know if this has got a 1 cup hopper. So it does hold 1 cup of grain. Now, the fun part. Time to put the guns to use. All right, now to adjust the tension on this one, there's a screw back here. And all you do is tighten it up, and that will pull the burr into its casing a little tighter, and that will give you a finer grind. Again, you can go too tight, and if you do, you'll damage your burrs, but you got to figure out where that balance is. And usually it tells you, because you go to crank it and it says, no, not today. All right. I ain't gonna lie, that felt like it took forever to do, but we've got that done. Like I say, it does the job. I guess in case of emergency, it beats nothing. And the flour doesn't look bad. But when we strain it, we'll see who really wins. We got 2 out of 3. Now, the moment I've been waiting on to see how this guy does, because I tell you what, it was tough doing the corn, but I'm really hoping that the flour works much better. Now, I've got the burrs set so that they're touching, but if I raise this up, it's not holding hard. So that's going to be our first cut on this. So let's load the machine. 1 cup of grain. And let's see what just barely touching looks like on the burrs. That's a whole lot easier than the corn. Now I've ground it until pretty much there's not a lot of resistance here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tighten this up about 2 more ticks. Maybe 3. Yeah, we'll do 3. That's a pretty moderate push. And what we'll do, we will load this back in here. You know, that actually looks pretty good like it is. But again, this is our first run. We want to see how we do. We'll reload our flour and get to the cranking one more time. Now this is where this stick actually comes in handy, because the flour, like the grains, will just go right down. The flour will actually sit up and hold a little bit. So grind 1 done. Let's do grind 2. All right, we have made flour. We have also been to the gym in the kitchen. All right, and this looks actually like the best. It is very, very soft, a little bit warm, but again, that's to be expected when you're hand cranking it. All right, we have our 3 blind mice here ready to go. Now, for this final test to see how well things have actually been ground, again, I will take this, we'll go back in here, and what I'll do is a little bit at a time, dump some flour in here, and then just tap, 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 and shake, 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 and I will run all of this basically through the sifter. And again, this is an extremely fine sifter, and we will find out. Like I said, I'm not going to bore you with just watching me sift flour. All right, that ain't rocket science, but we are going to find out how well it ground all the germ, all the kernel, all the shell, everything. All right, so I'll be back after I get done with all this. This will probably take me a few minutes, and it's rather boring, so stand by. All right, I ain't lying, this is a long video, for me anyway, because there's lots that I'm editing out as far as just, there's time-consuming things I'm doing that don't matter to you guys. But this I found actually very interesting. So here are my 3 things of flour that, like I say, again, after running them through my fine screen filter here, that gets it down to where what's in these bowls feels a whole lot like the good stuff, like the store-bought, Lily White or whatever brand you guys use. It feels like store-bought flour that's in there right now. But this is what I found kind of interesting. The amount of things, and it's almost like it's the germ, the hull, it's, the stuff that didn't get ground as fine, right? There's actually different levels, and it may shock you. This guy did the worst. And this is not bad. This is not something that you should throw away or anything, but this is the thicker pieces that just didn't get ground as small, right? So this is what this guy left behind. Now, running it through the KitchenAid, which, like I say, ran it through twice. Again, this complete time saver because it was just a few minutes and it was done. But it also, not as much, just maybe like 10% less, but this also had a lot of the wheat germ and things like that left behind. But now, when we got to this guy, when I went through and filtered and screened all of it, there was maybe 1 heaping tablespoon left. It did an absolute great job at grinding it down. And even if I wouldn't have screened it, just the flour itself actually felt like flour. There wasn't any kind of grit or anything in it compared to these two. If you make bread just out of these, the bread is still good, but you can kind of notice a different mouthfeel. With this, if I didn't take this out, you may not even notice. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and take all of this bigger stuff that didn't get ground, and we're gonna try it again. I'm gonna dump it all into here, and we're gonna grind it through and see if this can actually be, I don't wanna say saved, but let's see if the thicker pieces will grind down after running it through here again. So let me get to the results because you guys know how to grind flour by now. All right, so after running it through again, all I got left is about half of one of these. Could I do it again? Sure. Am I going to? No, I'm good. If this is, and honestly, I'm gonna dump this in here as well. I'm going to use it. This is more of just for a scientific excursion / how different are these 3 machines? I'm okay with this, to be honest with you. So let's see how much we've got. We started out with 3 cups of just wheat berries. Let's see what it turned into. Hey, guess what? The recipe needs 3 3/4 cup of flour. We made it. We got it. Whew. That was a whole lot of work to get there. And before we make bread, because again, most of this show is about this guy right here. And to be honest, I like it. The effort it takes to use this over this guy, huge difference. This one is going to be put up, put away, saved for an extremely rainy day, zombie apocalypse, or in truth, I'll just use it to, like I was saying, I grind cinnamon through it, spices, things like that. That's what this guy will be good for because it is a smaller one. But this one, this is going to take care of my flour power. This is what the rest of my hard winter wheat's going to be run through. This is what I'm going to be grinding my grains with. I really like it. Is it work? Yes. Could you hook a bicycle up to it and pedal power through it? Oh, yes. And that may be something that before I'm done, I do. Now, I've been talking with Lehman's and I'm working on getting a link through them for an affiliate link for them. But even if I don't have the affiliate link, down in the description below, I'm going to actually find this on their website and link it to it so that way you guys can check it out. Like I say, I'm really happy with this thing. It is not disappointing me one bit. I know they do have one that, like I say, is much nicer than this. I don't know how much difference there is other than the other one is actually heavier. The base and everything is more cast iron than this guy. But if you're looking for something just to handle grinding your grains, I'm sold. I like it. Now, on to cleaning up all this because I have flour everywhere. Let me get all this cleaned up and then let's go ahead and make a loaf of bread out of all our homemade flour, shall we? All right, for those of you that skipped ahead, this is the flour that we ground right here, right on camera, with hours, not really hours, but hours of hard work and dedication. So on with the bread making. Now, in this case, we are cheating like professionals. I have me a 3-pound bread machine. This guy is awesome because not only does it really do really good with bread, if you've used a lot of bread machines before, you see this guy actually has 2 paddles in it. Yeah, it's still not a grocery store loaf, but it makes a good sized loaf of bread. And what do you say we get started with the ingredients for this? When you're using a bread machine, it actually matters how you place them in the machine, because you can actually set this thing to wait for up to 15 hours. So you could load this machine and go to bed and then set the timer so that when you wake up in the morning, not only do you wake up to your alarm, you also wake up to freshly baked bread. Oh, what a great idea. Takes about 3 hours to do the whole cycle, but it is so good. This is a pretty simple whole wheat recipe, and all you need, as you see from the recipe, you need 1.5 cups of water, 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of honey, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 3 3/4 cups of flour, and 2 tablespoons of yeast. That's it. Now, the only thing I don't like about the bread machine is you don't proof your yeast. So hopefully your stuff is alive and kicking and doing well. So let's get started with the making, because this is literally a dump and go. Watch. We're gonna take our water. Water goes in first. We pour it in. I guess I should say we dump it in, because I did say dump and go. We take our really soft butter and put in 3 tablespoons. Little splashy splash. Now I would say we'd pour in our honey, but anybody who's ever dealt with honey knows there's no rushing honey. It's kind of a slow pour. You know, this is usually where if you weren't like making this for a show and you were measuring out, well, you kind of lick the spoon. Anyway, a little bit of salt. And now our whole wheat homemade flour. We'll just pour this guy in here. And then the yeast. Again, the biggest thing is if you're making this where you set it to the side for a while, you don't get the yeast wet. That's why the flour goes last. So you can go ahead and pour the yeast right on top and they don't cross-contaminate. Now, if you put this directly on the salt, well, salt and yeast aren't really good friends in strong concentrations either. But there you go. That's the heart of the bread. That's the hard part, putting it in there. Okay, well, maybe there is one more hard part. I got to put it in there. All right, now this recipe is basically about a 2-pound loaf. You can do, like I say, a 3-pound loaf in this machine, but we're just doing 2 pounds. So let's go ahead, fire the guy up, mess with all the magic numbers, and that's it. Now we just hit start. Now, I'm gonna leave the top open so this way the camera can kind of get a recording of the initial kneading on it, just so you can kind of see the mysteries of the bread machine. But once it starts rising and doing some of that, you really want the top closed so it keeps all the heat and humidity inside. So for the next 3 hours, well, we got a little time to kill. Tell you what, once this is done kneading, I'll see if I can get Benson while I'm in here cleaning up. Oh, hey Benson, what's going on? Where you been?
Hey, Chef, what you got going on here today?
Oh, I'm just cleaning up a little, making some bread.
Hey, Chef, where'd you get that awesome shirt at?
This, y'all, do you not love this shirt? I actually grabbed this off of vikinggoods.com. And I even got an affiliate link from them, which gets you 15% off of this.
Whoa.
Tell you what, not bad. Check out the link right here. That's right, vikinggoods.com/BFC15. 15 is your percent off. That's some pretty neat little advertising. And you can even get this in different colors. I mean, not only in the blue, I don't know, you could get it in several things. What do you think?
Now that is definitely a cool shirt.
I know. I'll tell you what though, I wish I could get it in this color. Ooh, that's fancy right there.
Oh, Chef, I gotta go. I'm not into that.
Where are you going? I'm not trying to scare you off with my clothes.
Too late. I'm out of here.
The moment of some sad truth. See, bread making is an art. And sometimes when you're an artist, your canvas looks like crap. Well, as this was rising, beautiful. I mean, it got so big it actually almost touched the lid. But then something happened.
Oh,
For lack of a better word, it popped. Now, you may be like, well, why did it pop? What happened? What happened in the case of this, and you can see how the bread has kind of flopped down in here, too much yeast. And again, like I said, this is the first time I've used this grain mill to make dough and to make bread. So it actually, the rise was great. It came all the way up, but then it lost and it went out. That's okay though. The smell of this stuff is intoxicating. I mean, it actually smells great. And it's funny because I made bread with this bread before. And look, you and I both know you gotta let this cool off. You and I both know this, well, you don't know how it smells, I do. I'm hungry, all right? So, got a little butter right here. We're gonna slice into this guy to see how it looks even though it fell. As you can tell right there, looks pretty good. I mean, like I said, other than the top retiring early, looks great. Let me layer this guy up with some really soft butter here. Remember, this is whole wheat bread. This isn't like the stuff you buy at the store because you made it yourself. So what gets me is looking at the color of this. You know, usually your whole wheat is a whole lot darker. Well, this actually looks pretty close to some white bread, but looks and everything. How does she taste? Tastes like I put too much butter on it, but this is good. Like I said, the smell is great. The taste is really good. I've made this bread before, but not with just the fine grind on it. Changes the whole outcome. Like I say, it obviously changes how fast the rise is. So next time I do this, instead of 2 teaspoons of yeast, I'll actually bring it down to 1.5 teaspoons and try again and try again. You know, recipes are things to perfect. I mean, they're handed down from generation to generation because your grandma figured it out, or your great grandma figured it out, or nana, or mama, or hoo hoo, ha ha, whatever you want to call them. It's from the lineage down. So listen to your ancestors, make the bread, do the cooking, enjoy life, and remember, Bigfoot is real, and I'm probably gonna have to fight him to keep this even with the top down. Y'all take care. I'm gonna eat me some buttered bread right here. And don't forget to check the link for the t-shirt, 15% off. Yes, it's an affiliate link. Yes, I do get a little bit of kickback, but yes, it's you helping me be able to afford new grain mills and to keep this channel going and to keep making some good bread. See ya.